These are the 4 wealth levels that will separate each American retiree in 2026. And the actual number is completely different from most people's assumptions. By the end of the video, you'll know exactly where your savings are and whether the gap between comfort and affluence is smaller or larger than you think. Here is the basics of everything in the video. The Federal Reserve's Consumer Finance Survey, considered the gold standard for us wealth data, was last conducted in 2022 and is not expected to be released until the end of 2026. When you see any 2026 update video floating around, including this one, almost every percentile cutoff can be traced back to the 2022 data set, which is based on newer income, social security, and inflation data for 2025 and 2026. This is important because today's real figure in nominal dollars may be slightly higher than the published figure. So keep this in mind as you discuss it. Now look at the headline numbers. Net worth. If you turn 60 in 2026, here is the cost of each layer. Based on data from the Federal Reserve in 2022, analysed by DQDJ, and compiled by the retirement planning firm Boarding in April. The total net worth of the top 1% of retirees is between $16.2 million and $22.1 million, which is not a typo. The top 10% is about 2.5 million to 3 million. The median retiree is the median for the entire group between $327,000 and $439,000. The 25th percentile, which marks the bottom of the middle and lower levels, is between $69,000 and $125,000. Third, because the median net worth of American retirees totals less than $440,000, including housing, 401k, each savings account, and each investment minus all debt. When you slice by age, the image becomes clearer. This is a critical window for retirees 65 to 69, with the top 1% threshold actually reaching $22.1 million when people stop working, while the top 10% threshold is just under $3 million, with a median of $393,480. By age 80 and older, the top 1% had fallen back to about 16.2 million, with a median of 327,200. None of this decline is mysterious because it can be traced directly to withdrawals, minimum funding requirements, and rising healthcare costs eroding the balance of payments. When I delved into this, what surprised me most was the performance of the top 10% threshold between 60 and 74. That number barely changed, hovering between 2.96 million and 3.04 million across the range. Mr. Bolding's analysts point to this, noting that wealthy families often hold their wealth through early retirement because the return on investment largely coincides with their withdrawals. The machine has finally done its job. Top 5%. I owe you some honesty here because neither the Fed nor any major analyst has a threshold for retirees to disclose their top 5% net worth. Depending on the shape of the percentile curve, it is between $5 million and $7 million. But it is an interpolated number, not an official number. And anyone who gives you a precise cutoff of the top 5% is estimating it. Now, let's talk about retirement accounts alone, because this is where most people compare themselves. And reality verification is the hardest place to get by all ages. Your 401k IRA and pension cutoff of up to 1% is about $2.29 million, calculated strictly on a retirement account basis. Expand the lens to all investable financial assets, jumping to about $5.06 million. But the median balance was $87,000. In this country, only 3.2% of retirees hold more than $1 million deposits in retirement accounts, which means that by national standards, exceeding 7 digits does not make you rich, only makes you far above normal. The top 1% balance by age follows the same withdrawal arc we see in net worth. The top 1% of people 65 to 69 hold 4.57 million retirement accounts, the peak of the curve. By age 70 to 74, the number dropped to 3.14 million. And by age 80 and older, it stabilized at 3 million, as withdrawals replaced contributions and the curve bent downward. In context, Fidelity reported an average 401k balance of $144,400 for all age groups in its construction financial futures report for the third quarter of 2025. Kiplinger and Savvy Wealth cited data from the Federal Reserve to set the median retirement savings for people aged 65 to 74 at $200,000, averaging about $609,230. The gap between the median and the average tells you everything you need to know, because a small number of very wealthy retirees are rising on average. Let's turn to income, because net worth tells you only half the story. You can't eat your house. According to the latest population survey released by the US Census Bureau in March 2025, the median household income of Americans 65 and older in 2024 was $56,680, while the median personal income was $33,310. Empower sets the average household income for the same group at about $87,260, which slopes upward again as high income earners pull the average income to the upper limit. For 4/5 of retirees who have no income at all, that means they are fully retired, with the Center for Pension Rights reporting a median income of $26,770 in 2024. Here is where things get interesting and a little frustrating. Unclean 1% of retirees actually exist by the government mandated income deadline. The closest data source we have came from the Congressional Research Service report, 47,341 reals, which uses health and retirement research data to list household income quintiles for people 65 and older in 2019. Keep in mind that since then, our cumulative inflation rate has been around 22%, with the top 20% of retirees earning $116,253 or more. Today, you are likely to see $140,000 a year break through the top 5. If someone gives you an accurate income figure for the top 1% or the top 5% of retirees, ask them to show you the source, because federal data is not clear when it comes to where retirees actually get their money. The data do tell us something that looks shocking. Among retirees 65 and older, Social Security accounts for 29.5% of total income. About a third of those still working earn 27.3%. And pensions and retirement savings account for 23.8%. But dividing retirees' earnings by a fifth completely changes that. For the bottom 20% of retirees, Social Security provides 82.6% of their income. For the top 20%, Social Security accounts for only 12% of their income, because wealthy retirees receive 38.9% and 17.6% of their income from assets like dividends, interest, rents, and business profits, while poor retirees receive almost no income from the same source. This is the wealth gap at retirement, which can be calculated by one statistic. When it comes to Social Security, we relocked in 2026 because everything changed in January. The Social Security Bureau announced the cost of living adjustment of 2.8% on the 24th of October, 2025. As of January 2026, the average monthly income of retired workers was $2,071, equivalent to about $24,852 a year. As of April 2026, SAS Monthly Statistical Report showed that the actual average had risen slightly to $2,081.16. If you apply at full retirement age in 2026, the maximum benefit can be $4,152 a month. The number of applications dropped to 2969 from 62. By age 70, the maximum wage climbed to $5,181 a month to $62,172 a year in Social Security terms alone, almost double the median personal income of retirees. In 2026, about 71 million Americans received Social Security and another 7.5 million received SSI. Now, it is the elephant in the room. The Social Security Trustees Committee expects that the trust fund reserve will be exhausted in 2034, after which the continuing payroll tax income will cover only 81% of the planned benefits and 72% by 2099. This is not an opinion, but directly from the trustees' report cited in the CRS analysis. If you are 45 to 65 now, LL be sitting at the most important window. Let me leave you a piece of data to redefine everything we cover. The Ramsey Solutions 2019 National Millionaire Study found that only 20% of millionaires inherited any money. And I warn you, because Ramsey commissioned the study and the method is not perfect. Only 15% have held senior leadership positions in their careers, and 70% earn less than $100,000 a year on average. The top 5 occupations are engineers, accountants, teachers, managers, and lawyers, most of whom attend public universities rather than elite schools. Overall, America's wealthiest retirees aren't the kind of people you might expect. They save regularly to 401ks, invest widely, instead of chasing a stock, get up early, and stick to every recession. So what will all this leave you when you watch the movie in 2026? If your net worth is less than $50,000 and you are at the bottom 25% of retirees. You are likely to rely heavily on Social Security checks, averaging $2,071 a month. Land is between $50,000 and $440,000. And you're in the middle, not rich but not risky, especially if the mortgage disappears. Net assets exceeded $3 million, reaching the top 10%. Breakthrough, 16 million. Welcome to the top 1%. But it is something nobody put on a thumbnail. Retirement protection isn't about the percentile you're in. It is about whether you earn enough to cover the rest of your life. A $500,000 retiree with a pension and modest expenses can sit in a safer place than a $2 million retiree with an unsustainable lifestyle. The percentile tells you where you stand. They won't tell you if everything will be all right. That is the difference. And that is what really matters.